Uh, the two cities I chose were Paris and Rio Gallegos in Argentina, if you do not know where that is, because I did not know where it was. Uh, in Paris, the summer solstice has 16 hours of daylight, while in Rio Gallegos, in June, it has 8 hours of daylight, and the summer solstice for Paris is in June as well. In Paris, the summer solstice is in June, and the winter solstice is in December. There are equinoxes in March and September. To create a sinusoidal graph to describe the daylight hours across the year, we must define x as the number of months since the March equinox. We're starting at March because it's an easy value to start at 0 and not up and down there. The y-axis is labeled the number of daylight hours, so it should contain 8, 12, and 16. Since we are starting at 12 because it is an equinox value, the d value must be in the sinusoidal function must be 12 to shift up the graph, as you can see right here. The amplitude has to be 4 because the difference between 12 and 16 is 4, and 8 and 12 is 4, because the solstices, or the shortest day is in December, is 8 hours of daylight, and the longest day is 16. So there's the four difference between the 8 and the 16 and 12, and the 8 and 4. Our period is 12 months. So to find the period, you do 2 pi over b. So right here is 2 pi over 12, which equals pi over 6. So the equation would have to be, the equation for the number of daylight hours in pairs is y equals 4 sine pi over 6x plus 12. Rio Gallegos is this, we use the same process, but the summer solstice for the longest day of the year is in December. The winter solstice, the shortest day, is in June. The equinoxes are the same in March and September. We can use the equation above because all the values are still the same. You still need to shift up 12 because we're still starting at the 12 hours of daylight. And then we still have the amplitude of 4 because of the difference of 16 and 12, and 8 and 12 is the difference in hours. The only difference between these two cities is the solstices are different. They're in a different order. Since the winter solstice occurs first in Rio Gallegos, we must put a negative sign to show the difference. So as you can see, the graph will go down first and then up. Both graphs have the same period, or they have to have a 12-month period, and that would be pi over 6 for the b value. They have the same amplitude because, well, the absolute value of the amplitude is the same because the hours of daylight and the hours of daylight don't change between them, and the d value has to be 12 because both graphs start on the March equinox. The negative sign is different and is placed to show the order of the solstice. It shows the order because in Rio Gallegos, the winter solstice is in June, and that occurs first in the year, while in Paris, the summer solstice occurs first in the year, and that is shown on this graph. They are like opposites.